Welcome back, children of the night, to the Infernal Archive. On this episode, as dictated by the unholy digital wheel, we'll be watching Resolution from 2012. And I'll read the little Wikipedia blurb for you. Resolution is a 2012 American horror film directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Scott Moorhead. It's also written by Justin Benson and starring Peter Silella and Vinnie Curran. Silella plays a graphic designer and father-to-be named Michael, who, after receiving a troubling email video of his drug-addicted best friend Chris, travels to a remote cabin to save him. So I didn't even realize this when I picked this movie, but I'd actually seen, so this filmmaking team, these two directors, they've done a few movies together now. And I'd actually seen a movie that they'd made called The Endless, which came out in 2017, I think it was. And it's kind of interesting. I think they have 4 of these movies now, but they've made 3 or 4 movies now that all take place in the same universe, but aren't like direct sequels of each other, but they have like overlapping
places, ties, whatever.
Gubbins. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see this one. I remember The Endless being, it had kind of like a trippy spin.
This place is kind of juicy.
Like I remember from what I can remember, it was like they entered this area, and then they couldn't leave, and the area was like odd. Things were like the sky would be a different color, like weird shit would happen, and they couldn't get away or whatever. So I wonder if this movie is trippy. I haven't heard anything about it being trippy at all, but I don't know, whatever. Anyways,
it made the list.
Yeah, it made the list. Sounded interesting on its face. Thank you so much for tuning in. I didn't say before, but I'm one of your hosts, Francois the Nation.
I am Andrew Sorsdahl.
And we will catch you after we have finished the film with our thoughts. Thank you.
7 days.
Welcome back, children of the night. We've just finished watching Resolution from 2012, and what an interesting film it was. The movie I saw was called The Endless, right? That was that's the other one. Yeah.
Same actors, or I'm not sure if they're leads in it, but
yeah,
both the actors from Resolution appear in Endless.
In this film, yeah. Okay. And I gotta say, from what I can remember from The Endless, because I saw it when it came out, so it's 5 years ago now. This film had a very similar vibe. Maybe less trippy though, because I remember The Endless having like more trippy visuals.
Yeah,
and stuff. But this film was interesting. Like I don't know if I could sign off on it being a horror film.
It's horror adjacent, I would say. If there's a Venn diagram, and we have horror here and we have like thriller, supernatural stuff here, it's like more thrillery, supernatural, spooky vibes.
Yeah,
spooky vibes.
It's more on from the, like, if you think of a film with a ton of jump scares versus like something like The Shining, maybe this is gonna fall on the Shining side of things, but even less,
further.
Yeah, even like down that, like if you can think of that as a whatever compass
subgenre kind of thing.
Yeah, it's down that way. There was one actually good jump scare that actually got us, and it was done very well, and it was at a good spot where you're like, you've been watching the movie already for like 45 minutes and they randomly got you with something, so that was good. And then there was like a kind of a sort of a jump scare kind of thing like earlier in the film.
It was a little menacing, creepy.
Yeah.
And just lots of just odd, creepy, like drug addict characters. And
yeah, I feel like we've had a theme going with these films that we've seen so far, and the theme's been like atmosphere. So far, most of the movies we've watched have been really good on establishing an atmosphere and like delivering on that for the most part. I'd say this movie does a similar thing. Like it has this air of mystery that pervades from pretty early on in the film. Right. Well, actually, right at the beginning.
The first shot we were saying, like right off the bat, without giving anything away or spoiling anything, because I do think this is worth a watch.
I think if you're into filmmaking, this would be a great film to watch, because it's like, look at what you can get done with few locations.
A shoestring budget, like I don't know what it was made for, but
yeah, some basic filmmaking skills, and like really this film's greatest strength probably was in its acting. Like the performances were just like very well done.
And the writing, I would say.
And then the writing would be right underneath. The fact that the writing was as strong as it was, and we were but this movie was much funnier than it was scary. Like we were laughing like pretty consistently. The writing was very good. It was like,
well, I hope you got a good fucking deal, because this place really sucks.
What is that smell?
I shit in the bucket.
There's sort of like the comedic. There's two lead actors, and the guy who's filling more of the like comedic role. He's providing most of the levity in the film. The writing for him was really good. They utilized him very well.
I'm just looking up, trying to find the budget, because I'm very curious what it got made for.
But like right off the bat of the film, sort of what Andrew was saying before, there's this thing when there's a shot of like you have the main character and he's with his wife in bed, and he's telling his wife, he's like, hey, my buddy's struggling, he's a junkie or whatever, I'm gonna go check in on him or whatever, and she's like, oh, you shouldn't, he's a whatever, and he gets out of bed, and then the camera very physically like bumps,
does like a little,
as if somebody was holding it. And at first you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe like at first your first instinct is
it's a
like,
weird, like,
maybe it's like an indie guy doing it. He's like, oh, he's trying to be deep or something, and he was whatever.
And why would they include that in the film almost?
And then later on, when our main character like first gets to the house where his junkie friend is squatting, basically, you can hear the filmmakers, like the guy who's holding the camera, you can hear the footsteps, and it's clearly not one of the other two, unless the syncing was like way off and it was just a bad job. But no, it sounds like it's the guy holding the camera, and so you're like, wait, is there a third guy?
Yeah, and the whole time it's got this very like documentary vibe. It feels like, at first I thought they were just going for the atmosphere of, oh, they want you to feel like you're an observer, like part of the story in a really in a meaningful way. And then, finally, after I've kind of given up on receiving an answer to the style, at the very end, everything's kind of, it's not like a super explained answer, but it's an answer nonetheless.
Oh yeah, it's like you're basically you're given the like, oh, this is intentional.
This is intentional. It's a supernatural thing.
Yeah.
I gotta say, after finding out what the budget of this film is, this bumps up several notches for me.
Impressiveness?
Yes, it was made for $20,000.
Oh wow.
So, like, man,
that's like Paranormal Activity levels of budget. Like, next to fucking nothing.
That's next to not like, so shoestring upon shoestring. Like the fact that they were able to take $20,000 and make this film, is wow.
Like we've done a lot of music videos at this point in our life, and we know how fast. Like we sometimes like semi-regularly get budgets that are in like the $5,000 range, somewhere in there. We know how quick $5,000 can just go. Like you're shooting for 4 days in a new location. You got rentals to make. You got fog machines. Like that budget can dry up very, very quickly. So yeah, $20,000 for a feature film. Super, super impressive that they pulled this off this well, and the performances were this good. And there was actors in this movie. There's one First Nations individual that I've seen in lots of productions. Like he's in
Longmire. He's in Taika Waititi's Reservation Dogs.
Yep.
He's in like a ton of westerns.
Oh yeah, he's the sheriff in Reservation Dogs.
Yes.
Didn't even put two and two together.
Yeah.
Don't want to sound like a crazy person. This could be Bigfoot activity.
He's a great actor. He was really good in this movie too. But yeah, like I said before, I don't know if this is necessarily a film to watch around Halloween. You're not gonna get a jump scare out of it. You're not gonna go to bed like, ooh, shaking in your boots or anything.
It's like it would be, if anything, if you're gonna watch it for spooky season, I would say it's like a watch to get yourself into spooky, like a beginning of the month.
Yeah, maybe this is the 1st of October.
Yeah.
And then you have a gradual ramp up.
Exactly.
To fear,
It fits in the general vibe, but it definitely isn't, I wouldn't say it's classically horror by any means.
No, I'll say it has a horror movie's ending. Like, it ends in the way that I like horror movies to end, where it's like you're given it actually reminded me a lot of fucking one of my favorite horror movies, It Follows, where it's like you're given just enough information that you're like, I can piece together in my mind sort of maybe what's going on here, and then then it's not resolved at the ending. It's like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, I don't know what happened to like the people you're rooting for. You at the end you don't know. It's up in the air as to what happened to these people, or like if anything happened to them or whatever.
And something is coming back to me. What you said when we did the review, we talked about funny games, and you talked about the confident filmmaking. I feel like that was displayed here really well.
Yeah,
and it was very confident, and like they didn't spoon feed us anything, but it felt like they kind of slowly revealed things really well, and they weren't afraid to end it in a ambiguous way and kind of leave it up to the viewer, but it was very positive. And yeah, I think very just proficient, confident filmmaking, especially given that they were working with a small budget.
Yep.
And you can obviously you can tell if you know anything about filmmaking that this is a smaller budget film, but it certainly didn't feel like a $20,000 film.
No.
So just, working with what they had, but it didn't feel like a lot of those other smaller budget films that like
Where you could really feel
you
it.
can really feel it, and you can, or like they do the B movie thing where it's like they're not intentionally being a B movie.
Yeah.
It's just shitty because it has to be shitty.
Yeah. Or it's like they're overreaching where they shouldn't have overreached. It's like there's so many shitty small B movies where it's like you wrote way too many roles into this fucking shit film that you have, and you're never gonna be able to find as many good actors. And now you have like 6. Like you could have maybe invested and got 1 good actor or 2 good actors, but now you have 6 terrible actors, and now the whole film it's terrible because whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that stuff. It's like not intelligent usage of like your limitations or like awareness of your limitations. And yeah, I'll say it's like I have to apologize to the filmmakers because
I'm fucking sorry.
I thought, like Andrew was talking about the handycam style and stuff, and at first and maybe it was a little bit of both, but I was like, I think this is probably out of necessity because it's easier to get away with like a handcam style than shitty locked off shots and like shitty panning shots and shitty dolly shots. Like if you don't compose those,
It's a lot more forgiving as a style.
And the thing is, like, so at first I'm like, yeah, it's fully just, or not fully, but like they're doing it so that they can get around maybe having to have some of that technical proficiency. But no, it's the plot of the movie. Like that's the whole conceit of the movie is this handycam style. Like that's without it, the movie doesn't exist. The story doesn't make any sense.
No, it totally comes full circle at the end, and I love that. It's this thing that you have questions about through the whole film. Why is this style this way? Is there someone following them? We don't know. Like you assume that it's there has to be an explanation. Because even that one shot when he's first approaching the fucking shithole that the friend is in, you're like, are they going to address the fact that there's like a cameraman obviously here?
Yeah.
And then it never gets addressed.
So then you're like, okay.
So you're like, it's a style thing.
It's weird, but
and then partway through you're like, okay, it's a style thing. I can get into this. It feels right with the plot, like the whole vibe.
Yeah.
And then finally at the end, you're like, after you've almost forgotten about it, it's like, oh, that's why.
Yeah, it's like they almost used your own brain as setup for the film.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's a great way to put it.
They knew you were gonna ask these questions in your head, and you were gonna be like, this is weird, like this is kind of amateurish. Like they knew you would be having those thoughts, and rather than them like writing whatever's these super intricate things to set up all the little things that they're trying to set up in the film, they're just like, just let the viewer watch, and their brains are gonna go nuts, and we'll spoon feed them these little answers as the film goes on.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that it's really impressed upon me when we were talking before about how I think one of the things that a horror, thriller, whatever, really any movie, but specifically in the supernatural, mystery, spooky, whatever general thing, if you over-explain stuff, it can ruin what you're going for. And this is a perfect example. They gave us just enough to make it intriguing and feel like I'm pretty sure I knew what was going on. Yeah. But they left enough up to... Yeah.
It's actually super interesting because you brought up Funny Games before. This movie's actually interesting to juxtapose with two of the movies that we saw previously. One was Funny Games, where it's like we talked about how that movie got weird, but it never felt satisfyingly weird. It didn't feel like they'd done enough setup to like deserve like this crazy ending they wanted to go for. And this movie this movie is also weird, and it also poses you with like an odd concept that's like it's not super quick to like pick up, but this film manages to like have the satisfying beginning to end, like, oh, you deserved the ending that you presented us
big
with.
time,
like,
big
this
time.
felt earned. And it felt, and to juxtapose it with Thesis that we watched last time, which was another low budget Spanish movie. I mean, I think the budget for that movie was way bigger than this one, but like still, that was another low budget film. It was done by first time filmmakers that I think this movie was also done by. And that movie felt so like I'm not intrigued enough. Like the situation you presented me with, all this mystery that you presented me with, it's just not interesting enough to sustain a fucking 2-hour runtime. I'm sorry.
And that's the thing with this one. It has to be mentioned. Hour and a half runtime. It felt nice. It was it didn't feel too short, didn't feel too long. It felt like they had a concept, they had a thing in mind.
Scenes.
Again, very confident filmmaking. Very like they knew what their limitations were. They knew that this concept, this whole thing they were going for. You can't stretch that into 2 hours.
Yeah. And I can see how this concept in this film could be expanded upon and still not ruin the mystery. Like, could, whatever. It actually, the thought that came to my head was, there's like whatever First Nations legends and stuff you hear about, like cameras and stuff like that, like stealing people's souls. Like I'm sure it's been used in films and in books and shit like that.
Goosebumps, there's a pretty notable thing about
it kind of is playing on that idea, like cameras existing as more than just this tool that you use to collect images. It's like there's another
supernatural kind of almost.
So that's really cool. Like the fact that they were kind of like using. I enjoy that. I enjoy using legends and myths and like building upon them in interesting ways and stuff. And it felt like that.
And especially with a low budget where you don't have a ton of time or resources to put towards world building and like backstory. Why not let existing myths and things that are already established do some of that heavy lifting for you?
Yeah, no, true. Yeah, it's just a smart movie, and I think I want to see, because like I said, I think there's 2 or 3 more movies in this series, and I'm actually super curious to watch them.
I would love to actually to watch the other ones and to complete their body of work. Yeah.
Alrighty, well, I think that's probably it.
Yeah.
Good movie. I recommend it to anybody who's interested. For sure, anybody who's interested in filmmaking, like, and to see like what you can accomplish with a lower budget. And then if you like weird, I don't know if I want to say sci-fi, but like kind of like mysterious plots, supernatural plots. Like I think you'd enjoy this film a lot.
Yeah, I think, or just generally, if you're looking for something that's a little bit outside of what your standard fare is going to be, because it's a little bit of a play on a lot of different things, and it's just different than what the mainstream is. I would say in a lot of ways.
Shadow people, fucking look out for them. That's all I gotta say.
Fucking shadow people.
The Gray Men.
The Gray Men. Yes, of course.
Mike. The government issues each and every one of us a shadow
Billy
man.
and Micah stopped by.
Time to pick the film for the next episode. Andrew, do the honor, spin the wheel. Let's see what happens.
Recording?
Oh yeah, fucking God damn it! One day, I remembered it once. I should actually just get you to do the recording because you remember it every time. Yeah. And the wheel spins.
Where it stops, we'll find out soon. Fewer movies on our list now.
On the next episode of the Infernal Archive, we watch
Host from 2020.
Yeah. Jenks, you owe me a soda.
Next episode.
All right, Shoulder Night. We'll catch you on the next one.